This is what I want you to see, his birth numerology. He has a life lesson number of 47, another very special number to the Zionists. The Zionist state of Israel established in 47. The first Super Bowl in the 47th season of the league, first NBA championship after the 47th season. MLB and NHL created their logos that year. He also has birth numerology of 38, and this year the Super Bowl's on the 38th day of the year. Colorado's the 38th state. Colorado in Gematria equals 38. And almost all year, I thought that was another sign it was a lock for the Broncos. A week before the AFC Championship, my dad told me he thought I was dead wrong about the Broncos, and he made me feel so insecure about my pick. I started to notice Tom Brady was 38 years old. He was in Super Bowl 38. He had a few other alignments, birthday corresponding with that. And I thought, this could be Manning or Brady. And lo and behold, the AFC Championship ended with 38 points. No coincidence. All part of the scripting. But 38, a number also connecting to Peyton's father, who never had a winning season, never won a Super Bowl. Eli's won 2, Manning's won 1. Another would be number 4. So anyhow, this is the 46th Super Bowl of the modern era this year. The 46th Super Bowl. And there's major Chicago theming because Chicago has Gematria 46. Chicago is the birthplace of football. The original 2 teams were both from Chicago in 1920. The NFL turns 96 years old this year. The word Freemason equals 96. It was Freemasons who created the sport of football. You can look up all this history, it's fact. This year, the NFC Championship was the Arizona Cardinals, who are originally from Chicago, one of the league's 2 founding teams, the Chicago Cardinals. And this year, Ron Rivera, the coach of the Panthers, was on the 85 Bears that won the Super Bowl 46-10 over the Patriots with the revolutionary 4-6 defense. And again, Chicago and Gematria equals 46. This year's the 46th modern Super Bowl, which started with Super Bowl 5 when the AFL and NFL merged. It's hosted in Levi's Stadium, which has Gematria 46. No coincidence. The only Super Bowl Peyton Manning has ever won was over the Chicago Bears, which he won 29-17, a sum of 46 points. His brother Eli is also the winner of Super Bowl 46. Very interesting. So this year's Super Bowl, it's on a date with 45 numerology. 45. And Bears in Gematria equals 45. In a little bit, I'm going to tell you more about the Bears' 85 season and what 85 had to do with the National Football League and why there was a 13-game win streak by the NFC in Super Bowls starting in 85. All of this stuff factors into what's about to happen for Super Bowl 50. With regards to bears, the Super Bowl is also in California this year, whose state flag is a grizzly bear. Bear symbolism. The date of the Super Bowl, it has 45 numerology with the single-digit method, digit for digit, also 18. Manning wears the number 18. This is his 18th season this year. The Super Bowl will likely be his last game. Interestingly enough, the word 18 has Gematria of 46. So does the word 27. And again, this will be his 27th playoff game on 2/7. If the National Football Conference was to win, the Panthers, it would be the 27th win for the NFC, lifetime in Super Bowls. But with regards to all this 46 in Manning, the Super Bowl's February 7th, his birthday is March 24th, which is exactly 46 days later. And again, Manning, his only Super Bowl win was his first one against the Bears, where he won it 29-17, a sum of 46 points. This year, the Panthers, a major resemblance to the Bears, which we'll talk even more about. Some players on the team that have some major Bears tributes. A reader also pointed out about levees breaking, Levi's Stadium, the song Bye Bye Miss American Pie, and Don McLean recently getting arrested. All of that makes me think about the song When the Levees Break by Led Zeppelin. The song's actually about the Mississippi flood, but the song talks about going to Chicago when the levees break, and Chicago's not too far from New Orleans. And that song turns 45 years old this year, When the Levees Break, Levi's Stadium. In recent years, they've been doing a lot of Super Bowl commercials with the Hoover Dam. Hoover Dam has a new bridge named after Pat Tillman, the Cardinal. The Cardinal's originally from Chicago. Anyhow, something I noticed earlier this year is that a lot of people were focused on Back to the Future and how it predicted the Cubs would win the World Series. Think about the Cubs being from Chicago. The Cubs didn't win, but the Royals did. And the last time the Royals had won the World Series in history was '85, the year Back to the Future came out. And what you're looking at here is a shot from the opening credits of Back to the Future. They get a Denver Broncos clock in there. Kansas City Royals last won in '85 before winning the 111th World Series. By the way, New York equals 111 the big way. Could it be that the Denver Broncos are to win this year, and this is the big clue as well? I think it really might be in light of everything else. Still got a whole lot more to talk about. Opening shot. The Power of Love has Gematria of 77, and what's interesting is the Broncos first made the playoffs in the year 77. This is showing over the Broncos clock. Just things that could be a coincidence, also things to think about. Real quick, the history of Broncos Super Bowls. They lost their first one 27-10 to the Cowboys. This year they play on 2-7. So in the history, that hasn't been kind to them for Super Bowls. That was their first one. It was played on a date with 41 numerology, a number that corresponds with Broncos. Broncos equals 41. That was the 12th Super Bowl. Notice the score was 27-10, a sum of 37 points. In the beginning, I talked about the Triple Crown, 37-year gap, 12th Triple Crown winner, 37-12. By the numbers, a special pairing. Here it is. Their next Super Bowl was a loss to the New York Giants. Remember, New York equals 39. The only Super Bowl played between New York teams was 20-19, a sum of 39. Mets score this year, their only win, connecting to 39. New York established on a date with 39 numerology and so much more. United Nations is 39 floors tall there. So their third Super Bowl was the first one ever played against a black starting quarterback. And notice that they won. Washington won 42-10. And what else is interesting is Washington State is the 42nd state. And George Washington was born during the time of the Julian calendar on the 42nd day of the year. 42 is also a number stamped onto divisive words, words of division. Bitch, honky, and especially on black Americans, the word nigger equals 42. Think about Jackie Robinson. In the O.J. Simpson trial, Mark Furman supposedly said nigger 42 times. More than a month ago, or about a month ago, I said part of the reason I'm even more confident about this Broncos-Panthers Super Bowl is because they're now advertising a commercial for O.J. Simpson versus the people with the White Bronco. Think about O.J. Simpson, a racially charged story, a White Bronco, a football player. Since November, I've been talking about how the media is actively waging a race war with purposeful propaganda. The Super Bowl is often symbolic of what's going on in the media. Think about the Patriots emerging after 9/11, the Saints emerging after Katrina. A Super Bowl that would fuel a race war, which is what the media is going on for these days. White Bronco versus Black Panther makes a lot of sense. Huey P. Newton established the Black Panthers in the year 66. The first Super Bowl was at the end of the 66 season. Cam Newton, Huey P. Newton. If you write out 50 as a word, it has a gematria of 66. A lot of racial headlines this week about the upcoming Super Bowl. Broncos wearing all white, Panthers wearing all black. This Super Bowl was on a date with numerology of 139. The word Freemasonry is 139. George Washington, a 33rd degree Freemason. Also a date with a life lesson number of 58. Freemasonry, the small way, is 58. Washington also equals 58. Washington, a slaveholder. Think about it. This year, Cam Newton will be the 58th QB to start in a Super Bowl. So think about that. The first black one to win on a date with a life lesson number of 58. Cam Newton, the 58th QB, he's the 58th quarterback to start in a Super Bowl, but he's only the 6th black quarterback. If he were to win, he would be the 3rd black quarterback to win in a Super Bowl, meaning they would be 3-3. The other two have only defeated Denver. Doug Williams in this Super Bowl and Russell Wilson in Super Bowl 48 just 2 years ago. Another Super Bowl by the numbers. They all are. So here's something that's interesting. In Super Bowl 24, the Broncos lost to the 49ers, who are hosting the Super Bowl this year. Elway was in this Super Bowl. This year, Elway's 55. The Broncos are 55. If Elway lost as the GM in this Super Bowl, he would be 2-4 in Super Bowl's lifetime, a lot like the number 24, and he would do it at the age of 55, just like the Broncos are 55. These are just things to think about. There really is alignment for both teams, but I think overall the narrative always wins out. So by the end, I'll talk about what I think the greater narrative is going on here. '49ers also has Gematria of 55, winning 55-10. Their next Super Bowl, the first one that the Broncos won, was 31-24 over the Packers. This was with John Elway as well. Notice the sum of 55, like Elway's current age. As I documented during the season, a team that got many numerological tributes this year was the Packers, and a follower of mine did a lot of research on the Falcons, and he pointed out how many connections there were with the Falcons in their scores this year. I didn't document those kind of patterns with any other team, and what it made me think of is how those were the only 2 wins for the Broncos in Super Bowl history. Wisconsin and Georgia, where the Packers and Falcons are from, are also the only 2 states with 44 Gematria. This year in Week 2, the only games played with 44 numerology, the only 2 scores from all the games that day and that week with 44 sums were the Packers over the Seahawks and the Falcons over the Giants. 44 tributes on the date with 44 numerology. Last year, the same thing happened with the Colts and the Ravens. And 44 years earlier, the Baltimore Colts had won the Super Bowl. Last year, the Patriots advanced over the Ravens, then the Colts, to win the Super Bowl in the 44th year of being in their division. These tributes remind me of each other, and they make me favor the Broncos a little bit more than the Panthers. I'll talk about it all by the end. Terrell Davis was the MVP of that Super Bowl. Terrell Davis has named Gematria 55, like the sum of the game. Also 64, just like Denver Broncos equals 64. Their next Super Bowl played was against the Atlanta Falcons. This was Super Bowl 33, played on a date with 33 numerology, also a date with 131 numerology. Super Bowl equals 131. Championship equals 131. Brett Favre drafted 33rd overall by the Falcons, traded after his rookie season to the Packers. Atlanta's on the 33rd parallel. The G on the side of the Packer helmet represents 33 in Francis Bacon Gematria, where lowercase a through lowercase z is worth 1 through 26, uppercase a through uppercase z is worth 27 through 52. Big G, 33. A league founded by Freemasons. Freemasons worship 33. They defeated Wisconsin, which has Gematria of 53 as well, sum of 53 points. Then the Seahawks win 43-8, an awkward score in an awkward game that was by the numbers. The first ever Super